Ram Talk, Season 4.
Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Ram Talk with Robb Johnson here on Legacy Maker Sports Network. A little late tonight, but I'm trying to get it in because it's very hard to get Ram Talk going as much as I want to. I usually do it on Friday nights, but we're not going to be long tonight. We're going to be very quick. Talk about some VCU basketball as they're now 15-8 on the season. On Saturday, I did the game against Richmond, and they won that game. It was 63-53. They defeated the Richmond Spiders, who at the time were on an 11-game win streak. So Richmond came in, 11-game win streak, beat some good teams in Dayton, etc. The same Dayton team that VCU will be facing this coming Friday night at VCU. They've already lost to Dayton once in the season, and they'll be playing them again. If I could go back and find that score, I believe they played Dayton. I'm sorry, no, they didn't. They're going to be playing at Dayton again on March the 8th, which is going to be a huge game. And they have some other games coming up down the pike that they should win. But let's start with Richmond. In this game, you thought Richmond would have the advantage because of the fact that Richmond's a bigger team. Richmond's a stronger team. They have a 7-footer. But VCU did a very good job of out-rebounding Richmond. They did a good job of making sure that they did the necessary things to keep Richmond at bay. In this game, they out-rebounded them 42-24, points in the paint, 30-26 VCU, fast break points, 11-5 VCU, and VCU's biggest lead was 11, which was the final in this game. Richmond's biggest lead was 4. This entire game on Saturday, you saw that Richmond could not get into the flow of things. You saw that Richmond could not get some type of rhythm. And watching Richmond and watching how they played most of the season, you looked at their player by the name of King, and King is one of the better players on Richmond's team. He'll be the reason that they get to the NCAA tournament. He'll be the reason that they upset somebody in the NCAA tournament. However, they won 10 in a row. For some reason, it said 11. It said 11 games. It was 10 games in a row for Richmond, not 11. But if we go to the stats, if you really look at it, and you look at Jordan King, what he did in this game, King only scored, what was that? Let me go back. I had the paper, but I have it. He scored 12 points. I saw him score 20 plus against against George Mason. I've seen him do some spectacular things this season for the Richmond Spiders, but Richmond played really good defense. I know a lot of times I get on Max Schluger and I say that, he turns the ball over. Sometimes he does things uncharacteristic, but he was one of the big factors in this game. 15 points. He played really good defense. He played defense on the ball, off the ball. He was able to do a lot of good things on the offensive end. You look at Kwame. He had 15 points in the game as well. Everybody did their job. That was the biggest thing for VCU in this game, is that everybody did their job and everybody did what was expected of them. Richmond came in a very hot team. Richmond came in as a team that everybody that everybody feared. And what did they do? VCU beat them up. They showed them what they were all about, and VCU won the basketball game. Now, do I think this is the end of Richmond? No. I think Richmond's going to beat it. I think Richmond's going to be a team that will possibly make the NCAA tournament, because I think they're a really good team. Now, I think it does hinder on them winning the A-10 tournament. I think that either them or VCU to get in, they have to win the tournament. I think Dayton, regardless, is going to get in because they're such a good team. They play a tough schedule every year. So that's how I feel about that. Now, again, we're not gonna be too long tonight. I got some other stuff to get done. Just want to get on here real quick, talk some VCU Rams basketball. VCU defeated Fordham tonight They defeat them by a score of 75-60. And if we go to those stats, VCU was 7-3 in their last 10 games, so they're starting to heat up. They had some bad losses in the non-conference, which we've well documented that. Um, I kind of made the mistake. Max Luga scored 13 points, led the team in scoring tonight. I kind of made the mistake of looking ahead. Uh, Barstow had 12 and Bam Seal had 13. So he had 13 along with Max. I made the mistake of saying that VCU had to get ready for Dayton. I wouldn't really call it a mistake because let's be honest. They played Fordham tonight, and Fordham is not on VCU's level. They haven't been in a long time. Even when Fordham had a decent record, VCU beat them. So the thing is that when you are a team like VCU, I'm not saying that you have to look forward to Dayton, but Dayton should be on your mind. You should get rid of Fordham, take care of Fordham, get them out of the way, and set up this showdown on Friday night because you know if you can beat Dayton, who was 18-3 on the season, the number 18 team in the nation. They beat St. Joe's their last game 94-75. I'm sorry, 94-79. A pretty decent St. Joe's team, by the way. You know that Dayton has one of the best players in the country in Deron Holmes. You know you're going to have to deal with Deron Holmes. I remember seeing, I believe Holmes was a freshman. He came in VCU and he dominated. You know, he's one of those players that you are going to have to deal with. Deron Holmes will be in the NBA. You know, just like, you know, Dayton always produces some of the best players in the country. Dayton always produces an NBA player or two. Deron Holmes will be that next player who will be in the NBA. There are a lot of teams that could use his services. There are a lot of teams that could benefit. But if you're VCU coming to this game against Dayton on Friday night, here's what you have to do. You have to, number one, be physical. You gotta be physical. You can't be soft. And now VCU has shown that they can be physical. Number two, continue to score points in the paint. Get Deron Holmes in foul trouble. If you can do that, if you can be physical, if you can get points in the paint, get Deron Holmes in foul trouble, timely threes. When I say timely, I don't mean shooting, 33s in the game or whatnot, or just, jack them up for threes all game. Excuse me, folks. Sorry about that. But what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make timely threes, just like they did in this last game, the game before against Richmond. You don't have to shoot a lot of threes. Just make timely threes. Shoot threes when the momentum is there. But mainly you want to get into the paint because you want to be able to get those easy points. See, this is at this time of the year, it's about winning. It's not about who looks the best doing it. It's not about who's going to get the most style points. Get your shots when you can get them. As we go back to the stats again from the VCU game, VCU was 18 of 20 from the line, while Richmond was 13 of 17. Do they have the three-point disparity? Three-pointers, VCU shot 5 of 18. Richmond shot 3 of 18. So that goes to show you both teams shot 18 three-pointers. VCU made 2 more than Richmond. That's what I'm saying. If you're going to shoot threes, at least be, 27%, 16% from Richmond. So Richmond actually shot a worse percentage. I'd like to see them run at 35 to 40% mark. I think if they could do that, especially with the talent that is on this VCU Rams team, there are a lot of good possibilities for VCU if they continue to just play their game, continue to play within themselves, and play within the system. This coaching staff is going to get this team to where it needs to be. I really, truly believe that this coaching staff is going to get this team to where it needs to be. However, what needs to happen is that they need to continue to recruit well, bring in good transfers. Even into this season, into the rest of the season, you have a favorable schedule going down the stretch. Now you do have some tough games. Not gonna poo-poo that. You have some tough games, but this team has the ability to get hot down the stretch. Now, some of their non-conference losses really still kind of bother me when you look at the Norfolk States and you look at some other losses they had. However, This team is getting healthy. It's gotten healthy, and I think that. Excuse me again, folks. I apologize, but um, it's been a long day. But again, these teams and these teams like VCU and the A10, they're tough teams. They're not going away. It's going to be a tough A10 tournament. This will probably be one of the tougher A10 tournaments that anybody's won in a while. Um, VCU has some games they wish they could get back, but the bottom line is this: they're a good team. They beat Dayton, and let's look at their schedule. I know a lot of times we like to look down at the schedule and see. So after Dayton, they have to go to St. Louis. St. Louis is an 8-14 basketball team. Then they go to Massachusetts. Massachusetts is 14-7. Then you go to St. Joe's. You play St. Joe's and you play Rhode Island back to back. Rhode Island is not where Rhode Island used to be, but they're still a tough team. So let's see here. Then you got to go to Richmond. Then you play Duquesne. Duquesne is what, 13-8. You should still beat Duquesne. It's one of those teams that VCU usually owns. And then you go down to Dayton on March the 8th, right before the A10 tournament. So realistically, right now, this team is 15-8, right? And this was what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games to play. With 8 games to play, and this team being 15-8, with 8 games to play, in my opinion, I could strongly see them losing to Richmond and at Dayton, but I could also see them winning. So you could be looking at what, a 15, and you could be looking at a 23-8 team, or you could be looking at a 21-10 team. 23-8 beating Dayton, getting deep into the A10 tournament could get you into the tournament, especially if Norfolk State, team like Norfolk State, wins their conference and they beat you. And if you get some other team like McNeese State and play teams like that, if you can somehow, some way win out VCU and you can be 23-8 going into the A10 tournament, and let's say you win some games, get to the final, you could possibly get um, to the NCAA tournament, because there's not a lot of strong teams in the NCAA tournament this year. We have a lot of good teams. North Carolina lost to Clemson earlier. That could help Clemson get into the tournament, especially because they're going to be in the ACC, more recognizable name, etc. So for VCU, there's a critical time for you. You need to win all your games. You need to make sure that you win them in convincing fashion. And what you did against Richmond and what you did against Fordham are very important. But as I said, Richmond's not going away. Dayton daggone sure is not going away. So those are the type of things that you're going to have to look at if you're the VCU Rams. And we're gonna have to diagnose. We're gonna have to diagnose some of the teams that you lost to early in the season. Like you look at McNeese State right now. They're 20-3. That's very impressive. 20-3. You look at some of their other losses to Iowa State, who is now 16-5 on the season. That's nothing to laugh at. That's a very good basketball team. Boise State, they always play good basketball. They're 16-6. So it's not like VCU lost to scrubs here, but you would also hope that they would win these games because you know how good they are. You look at Norfolk State, again, they're 15-9. They're first in the MEAC. In my opinion, Norfolk State's going to make the NCAA tournament. So all this can do is just help VCU. You look at Memphis. Memphis is also a strong team, 16-6. They're 6 in the AAC, but you know they're going to be there at the end of the season because it's Memphis and it's Penny Hardaway. Let's look at some of the other non-conference losses. Those are the last non-conference loss, and then of course they lost to St. Bonaventure. I believe they lost to Bonaventure twice. And Bonaventure is one of those teams that's always had a thorn in VCU side. I can't figure it out. A lot of people can't figure it out. But St. Bonaventure always can be that thorn in VCU side, but just those 2 losses alone hurts VCU because they could have put them at 17 and what was that, 17-6 right now. They'd be 17-6 with those 2 losses to St. Bonaventure. So every game in NCAA basketball is very important. I know it's not the college football regular season, But every game is important because those losses creep up, especially when you're getting ready to get into the NCAA tournament. Well, folks, that's been Ram Talk for Rob Johnson again. And my prediction for Friday night, I have VCU winning the game 76-72 in an upset of number 18, Dayton. Again, I have VCU winning on Friday night 76-72 over rival and ranked Dayton. That's been the Rob Johnson Sports Show. You can catch me again on Saturday night at 10 p.m. as we do the Rob Johnson Sports Show, episode 38. You all have a good night, and I will see you Saturday night as we preview the Super Bowl. We talk more sports.
Ram Talk, Season 4.